Trump administration is reportedly going to pay the government of El Salvador up to $15 million to house people sent from the United States. 15 million. I think there are going to be a lot of members of Congress that will clearly be unwilling to spend money to keep people like Kilmar Garcia in CCOT. Why should the taxpayers of the United States pay the government of El Salvador to lock up a man who was illegally abducted from the United States and committed no crime?
Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen in El Salvador yesterday calling on Congress to block funding used to pay countries to house deportees. More House Democrats pushing to visit El Salvador to retrieve alleged MS-13 gang member Kilmar Abrego Garcia. The Supreme Court ordered the U.S. to facilitate his release. Trump administration says he was wrongly deported due to an administrative error. Illinois Congresswoman Delia Ramirez reportedly sending a letter to Homeland Security Chair Mark Green asking him to authorize a congressional delegation to El Salvador. Congressman Robert Garcia, Maxwell Frost also pushing for an official trip. Joining us now here in our studio, Pennsylvania Congressman Dan Meuser. Congressman, good morning.
Good morning, Cheryl.
So should the U.S. taxpayers be paying for this congressional delegation to go to El Salvador?
This is as close to madness and an upside-down world as it gets. Here we have illegal immigrants en masse that are still in our country. Fortunately, with President Trump, we've closed the border. We have illegals committing all kinds of crimes. We have sanctuary cities that the left has established. In Maryland, of course, and I met Patty Morin, whose daughter was brutally killed. Rachel, met her a couple of times. Here you have Van Hollen spending all his time focusing on bringing back someone who was with MS-13. They want to state he wasn't MS-13. Well, birds of a feather flock together. They were all together. And he's also got a record for beating up women. And so he gets deported. He's here illegally. We have a United States senator and a bunch of knuckleheads in the House that now say their main priority is bringing back someone. Maybe he's not a terrorist, but he's a potential terrorist. He's a terrorist watch list person. They want to bring him back. You saw the El Salvadorian president. He laughed. He said, why in the hell would I bring back a potential terrorist back to the United States when his home country is El Salvador? The Democrats, once again, are showing how out of touch they are and where their priorities are not in line with 95% of American revenue.
And you referenced the fact that we've now learned that his wife had actually filed for a protective order against him for abuse. So let's move to the business of the day that's happening in Washington. So President Trump is now considering raising the corporate tax rate and creating a 40% tax bracket for millionaires in order to pay for all the desired tax cuts. This includes taxes on tips, overtime, Social Security. Congressman, where are we right now? Because when you start to talk about raising the corporate tax rate, I'm not saying you, but those that are maybe suggesting it, your colleagues, or maybe it is you, I don't know, let's find out. But or you start to talk about, raising taxes on millionaires, those sound like Democratic talking points.
Well, it sounds like all of America talking points, and I don't mean to play word games here. And I actually did suggest it a number of months back.
Which one, the corporate tax rate or the
wealthy, the high-end income rate? Okay. Of course, it was at 39.6. The Tax Cut and Jobs Act under President Trump wrote it to 37 just on income levels over $750,000, I think it is. So by bringing it from the 37, as we're redoing the tax plan, to perhaps 38.6, right? It would still be 1% less than it was before, right? And by the way, if the Democrats are voting against this, the Democrats are all for tax rate increases for low income, middle income, high income, corporate, businesses, you name it. Getting rid of the bonus depreciation and everything else. So we're fighting for small business, we're fighting for all of America, and for the job creators that might be in those categories. So if you were to bring it up at one point, it brings about $15 billion in revenues, right, without any elasticity, which could take place. So if it did come up to 39, it's almost $25 billion. The president is determined not to have a standard, if you will, Republican, and this is my view from what I based upon him. I'm not putting words in his mouth. A standard Republican-style budget. What he wants to see is something that is in the interest of all of America, middle-income America, small business, and by the way, we would be talking about an exemption for pass-through small businesses, so they would not be paying at the higher rate as they do now at their income level rate.
Mark, I want to get your reaction to that, because especially from the small business side, what kind of effect do you think that would have?
Well, I mean, they're going to have lesser profits. They're then going to hire fewer people. The people they have employed, their wage gains and wage growth is going to slow. So there's certainly an impact there. And what I'll say, Congressman, is that since the Trump tax cuts went into place, our tax revenues as a country are 50% higher than they were in 2016, pre-Trump tax cuts. So the lower brackets have led to faster economic growth, have increased the tax base, and a lower percentage on a much, much, much larger tax base has really helped to drive additional tax revenue for our government. Do we really need to give the government more?
No. All absolutely true. Revenues went through the roof, 8%, 9% growth. I was former revenue secretary in Pennsylvania. I mean, that's just phenomenal, no question. Everything you stated, we really have a savings problem, not a revenue problem. If, however, we do need to, in reconciliation, balance the fiscal situation, and by doing so will allow for some of those promises that the president did make. Look, the bottom line with taxes is we need to be competitive, not necessarily low, certainly not high, but competitive, and competitive with the rest of the world. That's why the corporate tax rate is very important, being at 21%. I mean, you got Ireland at 12%. I mean, we're in the middle of the pack, barely, where other countries have gotten more competitive. So you're absolutely right. Wherever that max min is for generating the highest level of revenues, it's something under consideration. It's certainly not typical.
Yeah.
I understand. So we're going to see how we can fit it all together, and we need to do it. By the way, we need to get this done, and if not by Memorial Day, certainly by 4th of July.
I was just going to ask you, what do you think the time frame is, and is President Trump going to get his big, beautiful bill?
He's going to get his big, beautiful bill if I can help it, and if well, it actually needs all of us to help it along,
it does.
And we will. We feel good about it. It's some nuances here. You know, those nuances can be a little bit tricky, but we'll pull it together.
Certainly, Congressman Dan Meuser. It's always great to see you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks again for coming by.
Appreciate you.
All right.